One day, one bug, one shot. This is the Quantico After Show. Season 2, Episode 3 starts right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
That's right, let it begin with a little Ariana Grande, Dangerous Woman. That is the theme song for this season. Welcome to Quantico After Show, Season 2. Episode 3, Stescalade. I'm your host, Drexel Heard, filling in for Andy, who is out today. You can follow me on Twitter at Drexel Heard and Instagram and pretty much everywhere else. To my right, Gabe's on the panel today.
What's up, guys? You can find me on Twitter all the time at Double G on TV.
And we've got a new face with us on the panel today. Welcome, Christine.
What's up, guys? I'm your host, Christine Alexis. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Christine Bean with 3 E's.
Ooh.
So, welcome. I know we took a couple of weeks off, or we took a week off last week because we had the debate last week. So hopefully you guys got a chance to watch that since you weren't watching Quantico. We might have needed the CIA in there last week during the debate.
Oh my!
But, I mean, there was a little stalking going on. There was a little crazy stuff happening during the debate. They might have needed some intelligence agencies going on in there. So we're going to start the show out today by talking about a couple of the YouTube comments that you guys had from last week's episode. Let's see, what do we have?
We have a lot of comments, very motivated fans. So
yeah. Thank
Thank you guys always for watching us. We appreciate it.
Cham123 says, I think the person who received the text message about Alex is an FBI or CIA agent working on the inside. Judging from the way that person walks, I think it maybe is Owen or another older person. So we'll talk about that in a little bit because there were a couple of times that we saw a couple of folks and where they were just in terms of new faces in the room. Somebody we pointed out last week about the guy that plays Harry. Somebody mentioned that he was British. Like what about his accent on last week's show? And then it turns out that the actor is actually British in real life.
Yeah.
And I talk about him being from Looking all the time, and he's actually British on that. So
on Being Human, he was on Being Human.
On Being Human, yep.
Yeah. But he's really British. Wow, I'm shocked.
He is British.
It's like a fake accent there.
Umit's Gloria says, I love this after show. What do you guys think about the twins this season? I, for one, was psyched to see that Nima is back cause what's your prediction for their storyline? Anyone have any ideas on what to do with Nima and Reina?
Not sure just yet, but I do appreciate that they are back this season. They made the cut. A lot of characters.
Made the cut.
Yeah. We don't see some of the characters from last season, and I like that they're working on different. As of what we can see right now, they're working on different operations. It's not just them, playing into the fact that they're twins. They have their own identities. They're definitely far past where we saw them last season.
That's right.
I actually wrote that I was worried that one or the other is not going to make it just from the fact that we don't see Reina currently in present day.
Right.
So where is she exactly? I'm a little worried about that.
So we see Nima present day, but not Reina present day.
Yeah.
Unless they're also doing a fake out again. Yeah.
They're trying to trick us.
Who knows?
Nina Reina. Well, thank you guys so much for your comments. Leave comments right down on our YouTube channel because we will always, always, always respond to them and then talk about them on the show. So let's dive right into Stescalade. We were like, Stescalade, what does that even mean?
Right.
What does that
even
mean?
Like,
Dave?
that's a new car? Okay, so I looked it up, and it's hard to get like a definitive answer when you Google it, but what I learned was it's a type of electronic bug, listening device, secret agent stuff, and obviously we understand how important that was to this week's episode.
Whole episode. That's why I said one day, one bug, one shot. So let's talk about the task first. The whole task for this episode. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to look around the room for a second, take it all in, and then close your eyes.
Okay, Owen.
And then tell me how many cameras this room has in it.
4.
6.
1, 2, 3, 4 in front of us.
5, 6 cameras in this room. Christine would be at the top of the murder board.
Well, my initials are CIA.
Oh,
I'm just
She was
You
waiting
missed.
all week to use that.
Hey guys, you missed the camera above the door.
We missed the camera
we
by the
missed
door.
one.
Camera said we all failed.
Wow.
Oh man.
I'd like to
Took
point
that
out
moment back in. Just,
Alex Parrish is at the bottom
Right.
of the murder board, so I'm
Alex
in
is
good
always
company.
at the bottom of the murder board.
So I'm in good company.
Oh my goodness.
I like it. I like it.
Trust no one. That is the other theme of our show. Is trust no one. It's always written at the top of my page. If you've been watching this after show, okay.
And if you're playing the game at home, remember now is the first time you take a sip.
No, yes, trust no
'Cause it's the
one.
late night
Take
hour.
a sip. That's
you
right.
guys got a drinking game?
We do have a
going
drinking
on?
game because you trust no one in the
Exactly.
show. I don't know who to
Nice.
trust. Okay, so the task was assessment.
Yep.
The first task was how much can you see in 30 seconds walking into a room? Is that something that you guys can actually do? What is your assessment like? I mean, obviously we just did a test, but like, what is your normal? Are you a scanner? Like when you walk into a room, or do you just kind of let it happen as you're in there?
I mean, for me, depending on the environment I'm in, I'm have to choose the door, like with being able to face it or being able to like have an easy out. But depending on where I'm at, that's not as important. But some places it's like, yeah, I want to be able to get out of here pretty quick. So that's probably the only thing I really try to be aware of actively every day.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, so I've grown up.
Hey,
Brooklyn!
Barclays!
Hey! So I naturally survey everything around me all the time. And that's just a shout out to New York City just being one of those places where you have to be aware of your
If
surroundings.
you see something,
Say something. There you
Oh,
go.
that's
So
right.
I am definitely one of those people who is very aware of what's around me and what's happening. And I personally get really like skittish if I can't find a window in a room or something like that. I need to be able to like see and out like the same way that you feel. So
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people. Like I have to sit facing the door.
yeah.
I don't like going to a restaurant or anywhere and my back is to the people. Like it's weird.
Here
I
you-
trust no one. Literally, I have to be
two.
able to kind of scan the room and see where I'm going.
Are you gonna bolt for the door right
But
there?
you know what? I'll be the first one right out this door. I'll be like, bye, lock, soup, out. They're like, where did Drexel go? This whole show's still going.
Because he's out the door before his headphones hit the table.
Right, exactly. Computer's just gone. Everybody's gone. I've taken my drink with me. So they did that whole thing in a controlled environment. And then they kind of had everybody kind of go through that exercise. A couple people, they did well. A couple of people did not so well. The second task was they had to go into an office. They had to get to an office building with a. This was a really confusing task to me because I don't ever. So they had to get to an office building with the floor number, and they had to retrieve a red envelope. But I don't ever remember them getting a red envelope.
They
Neither
did
did I.
that was all a trick set up by Owen. It's like, oh, you guys are expecting an office. It's gonna be an office, and then
But they
throw
were
them
in the woods the whole time.
That was supposed to surprise them and keep them on their toes.
Oh, because then they got they
Yeah.
got taken away.
because they're
somewhere.
expecting, okay, we're gonna go to the office. Next thing you know, you're
So
on
then they kind
Survivor.
of had to get out. They had 30 seconds to scan a not like they're on the side of the road. Their surroundings, using
Yeah.
trying to kind of escape the
Well, remember, he's
woods.
training them to be ready for anything in the
Anything.
field.
right.
That's so
Because
true,
you
'cause
can trust no one.
Yes, just like take a sip.
that one went over my head a bit too. I was like, wait, where are the red envelopes?
Literally, I was
what
like,
happened?
what happened to the red envelopes?
Yeah.
But they did say going in blind, which should have given us a clue that they were going to be in a situation that they might not have expected.
Now, I did think that they're gonna, when they were like, the blindfolded, with the bags, I did think they were gonna wake up in the office building. So that one I do understand. But yeah, it was just a nice fake out.
Yeah, the whole. So let's talk about that task itself, because
Sure.
I feel like it wasn't so much of a task as it so much was us talking. I mean, by us, I mean like we were there. But the characters getting to know each other.
Yeah.
How did you guys? What bond did you guys think was the strongest, or did you guys think that anybody had a strong bond, or what, are they going to build on a relationship that happened in the woods? You had Alex and Leon and
Diana.
Harry and Ryan and Deanna and Harry and Leah. Like, do you guys see those relationships growing, or was that just part of the episode?
Well, the scenes in the present day where the terrorist situation is unfolding, it's kind of unclear whether or not Harry and Ryan are actually friends or foes at the end of all of that later on. I definitely think there's more to the relationship with Diana and Ryan. He seems to really be able to get to her and find out more about her every time they hang out. I feel like with Alex and Leon, it's going to be more of a romantic thing in that respect, because Alex can't keep away from guys like that. He just screams her
But did
type.
you see Leon in the first scene? Like his shirt was like, I was
Yes.
like, what is happening right
Yes,
now?
I
was
totally
like,
agree with
okay.
Alex on that one.
I was like, hey Leon, what is your
Hey.
name? Okay.
Why can't
Yeah.
Alex ever have scenes like that?
Do you think Diana is the her that we talked about in the first season? You remember when Ryan and Alex were having that conversation, and we've talked about a couple of names that it could be. We talked about Lydia being the her. We talked about Hannah coming back and possibly being the her. But now we've got Diana thrown into the mix
I think that
because that was past.
Yeah.
And now they're in and now we'll talk about the present here in a little bit.
I do like the idea of Diana being it. I think they're growing it organically because we did see her. She's crying in the first episode at the end, and they even talked about it. She went from being the weakest link to
Yeah.
suddenly she's at the top of the game and running the show and walking across trees as a bridge. So, and you see Ryan kind of having that respect for her, like,
Yeah.
oh wow, homegirl, you got it. So I do think that we're probably going to see that come into play. I don't think it's going to be outright, Ryan hooks up with Diana and it betrays Alex. I think it's going to be more complicated.
Right.
But I think right now that's what we're building toward.
Right. Speaking of that scene with their walking over the log, the tree log, the log. How did you feel about her walking in those heels across that?
I
saw your reaction. I was like,
oh no, why would you do that? Oh, I mean, at least take them off and hold them in your hands, go across the strip.
Only on TV.
you're worried about protecting the. Are you worried about protecting the
Not
heels?
protecting my life. I wouldn't trust myself even with the smallest heel on a log that skinny. I want to live. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty badass that she kind of walked in those heels across, but.
For someone
Ryan
that
took
scared,
notice.
she
Maybe
did
that's
it.
why. Maybe that's why. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely why Ryan did that. Okay, so they the end of the assessment, they come back. It took the first team 4 hours to complete to get out of the woods. But what they didn't realize was there were 23 cameras in the woods watching them.
drones.
23 cameras and 4 drones flying overhead. How do you miss a drone flying overhead? I don't know. Especially having that background of CIA and FBI, you're constantly, where the drones are. But I guess there were a lot of trees and things.
I was going to say, it felt like a big forest, but also it's like, well, if you hear something, it's like, oh yeah, they're probably watching us. I mean,
Right.
They are, they're not just kind of sitting back, drinking Mai Tais on the couch like, yeah, they'll be back soon. It's part of an exercise. They're setting them up for something. So the fact that they didn't pick up on little stuff, I see where Owen was going with it.
I think they were all just very much focused on getting to know each other on a deeper level, that they did exactly what he said. They forgot where they were, they forgot their training, and they were just in another world. But those moments did prove to be very useful later on.
Yeah.
So-
I was
I
going to
just
say,
wanna- go ahead.
I was just going to say, honorable mention, I really like the Harry and Lee Davis camaraderie
little
that they
pairing,
had.
yeah.
I mean, we didn't get too much of it, but I feel like present day, that's something that's going to come into play just by how smoothly they seem to really cooperate with each other out in the
They have,
forest.
a loyalty to each other, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I just want to point out a couple of folks in the chat room. Renee's not here this week, obviously, but she was in the chat room. Hi, Renee.
Hey, Renee.
Fantasy Stats Guru, and let's see who else is in here. Melvin Gonzalez, thanks for joining the chat room. Everybody, join our little conversation here.
Thanks for watching.
Definitely, thanks for watching. So let's talk about present. Let's talk about the past. Nope, let's talk about present day because that's how the show opened.
Okay.
So when the show opens, Miranda gets a text message that says, "We will find her." Where are we with Miranda? I don't know. I don't know. I'm conflicted because I really don't want Miranda to be
Bad guy?
this bad guy.
I know. I don't either. She's acting very suspect right now. I will not lie. I don't understand because it's clear through, events that we'll probably get to later while discussing this that she is communicating with somebody or some other being
Entity.
of some sort, and keeping Shelby in the dark and keeping everyone else in the dark. I want to know what she knows. She's so mysterious.
So I have a theory that the person that she is texting about Alex is an ally to Alex, but that's a secret, and there's actually a third entity, probably the one behind the terrorist group, that is pulling the strings with Miranda, and that's why she's keeping Shelby in the dark. So she's betraying Shelby, but she's still at the end of the day helping Alex because she's in a precarious situation herself.
But here's a hole in that theory.
Okay.
Because the girl that took Alex, if she was an ally, probably would have told Alex, "I'm an ally."
Maybe that wasn't the ally though.
But isn't she the one she's the one that took Alex away?
We don't confirm that she is the one who got the message. We just know that she was one of the terrorists who took Alex.
Right, but she was the person that said we got her, right?
No,
In the room when Ryan and Harry were fighting.
Yes.
And then the person said, we got her.
Right.
That person was the one that took Alex away. That person ended up being the girl that Alex ended up fighting later on that we still don't know who it was.
Yeah, it was, but that doesn't mean she was the same girl Miranda was communicating with.
Right. So
Yeah,
there
that
has
we
to be
don't
multiple
know.
people,
Yeah,
right?
so there could be someone
there's
else
layers.
still in there.
But how did that person know it was Alex?
Because they gave it away. Because remember that you could see the writing on Alex's arm, and remember they already knew Alex was in the building somewhere. They just hadn't found her.
They must have heard her say Ryan, because when he was like throwing her to the ground, about to rip her mask off, she's like, Ryan. I'm sure they heard.
Right, but I don't think the writing on her arm was a giveaway to the other people.
Well, remember how, these guys have surgical precision. I mean, they cut all of their wrists just to hide that thing.
Right,
so I think they knew, like, hey,
she doesn't have an
It might have been a giveaway
This isn't one of
too.
us.
That's true. I
This
forgot
isn't
that
one
they
of
did
us.
that.
So it has to be Alex Parrish. Who else is it going to be hiding there, especially in this detailed operation?
Good call. Good call. So somebody said, Leslie T in the chat room says, maybe it's Nima is who she's
I like that theory.
coordinating with, Miranda's coordinating with.
And then think about it, when the terrorists and hostages switch, Nima and Reyna do a switch kind of deal.
Or Caleb. Leslie says Caleb because we haven't seen Caleb yet.
That
And I love a good Caleb Haas.
I know. I love Caleb Haas. Like I miss him from last season. I'm waiting on
Graham Rogers
it.
to come back. Miranda, Shelby has this Shelby has this stuff on her computer, which I thought was really funny. That whole like Shelby back and forth, like not like Miranda thinking that she's one-upping Shelby, and then Shelby being like, "But I got this,"
But
like
I have a copy.
like the Hermione Granger, like, "But I had this, and then I had backup, and then I had more backup." And then I actually put it in a book on the shelf and put it back and I close it up.
Yeah, that's how you're supposed to be, like with papers in school.
Right.
It's like if anything happens, ha.
Right. But I got it. What did you guys think when Miranda handed Shelby that flash drive?
You know what?
Like first reaction, like what did you think in your head?
Why are you doing that, Miranda? I thought you were on our side. I mean,
did you think that the flash drive was like anything or just like a regular flash drive?
I admit I wasn't in on it at first. I thought they were just genuinely gonna help each other out, but it was only after that bug went on her computer and then on Shelby's computer, and then she's like, you could just see the look in her face when Shelby was like, you know what? I had a copy in my safe, and she's like, oh, you did.
and
She's like, curses.
She's
that's
like, oh
where
my
it was
god.
like.
That's when I'm like, Miranda, no. Miranda, no.
See,
what are you up to?
I think doing these after shows like this, you literally find, especially in filming, you literally find things you're like, but why would they zoom in on the flash drive?
Right? You just you
The
That means
nuances
it's
of
something.
each
As
As
scene.
soon as they zoomed in on the flash drive, I was like, well, that flash drive is corrupted. Like, I knew something was going to happen.
The
but
ABC formula.
The ABC formula. Yeah, so that's why I feel like I said, I'm more conflicted. I don't know what side Miranda's on. Why would she corrupt her own computer? Why does she want Shelby's computer back? Because as soon as she said, Shelby, bring your computer, and I was like, well, Shelby, you're not going to get the computer back. Sure enough, Shelby didn't get the computer back.
Well, remember, if you're trying to hide that you're actually on the side of your secret agent on the inside, you have to keep up appearances and you have to go to great lengths. So that means maybe keeping Shelby in the dark. And you know what? I'm about to sacrifice my own computer. I'm about to sacrifice her computer. I'm about to sacrifice something else.
Why keep Shelby in the dark when we found out that Miranda had stopped the operation that Shelby and Raina were a part of.
Because more people who know, more risk.
Yeah, but how many people know? We only had one new face this whole episode, and we're already in episode 3. So how many people could be involved?
Well,
It's hard to tell.
3.
What's that?
With the flashbacks, it's like it's hard to tell because you don't know yet like where these people will enter and exit in the storyline. I think it does speak to your theory though that Miranda's like keeping Shelby in the dark for some reason because maybe I think. Like I said, Miranda's always 2 steps ahead of everyone. I think maybe she has a good idea of who the terrorists might be amongst the people that are in there who are from the farm. And, you know, with the information that Shelby could bring to light with these profiles on each and every one of them, it might bring her too close to the fire. And maybe Miranda is just pulling her back in some way. I mean, I don't know
For
why
her own safety,
or
maybe.
how.
But don't you think that
what does she know?
But don't you think Miranda has to have learned from last season? I say this as they go season, but has to have learned her lesson about keeping people in the dark. Like you'd think, Miranda, you got to keep somebody on the up and up.
Yeah.
You have to tell somebody.
She goes with her instincts a lot, but
maybe
you're
she
right.
just-
She
maybe
is.
she-
She is the one that she's texting Alex. That person knows everything as well.
Yeah, but you're sending again, and we talk. I mean, there. What's really interesting is that we did this whole list. They did the whole assessment test. I say we, like we're there.
We're
like
the
every time,
farm.
like we are part of the CIA.
I know, right?
They
did
did
it.
the whole assessment task, and they talked about going in blind. And so, which I think is really interesting, that Miranda is now throwing all of her operatives into this situation blind. And maybe that's something to watch out for. Maybe that's a part of a reason why, hey, Miranda chose these guys. You're going into this. This is what they're going to teach you. Now I'm about to throw you into something blind, but I'm only going to tell you next to nothing to get it done, which is what she's feeding to Alex. What do you guys think about that?
I was going to say, I think that there's a reason why, for example, Alex and Ryan didn't originally know about each other going into this mission. The same thing, Shelby and Raina aren't necessarily on the same mission as well. They have the same goal, but they have different objectives on the way there. So I think that's why now, present day, when Alex and Shelby and all of these pieces on the board, they're all trying to stop these terrorists, right? But Miranda, like we said, she's not playing checkers, she's playing chess. She's using them in different ways, and I think in a way trying to keep them safe from maybe revealing too much themselves and trying to accomplish the goal of bringing this group down.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
Picking it up, putting it down.
I'm so proud of myself.
I
That was a
love
little
that. I was like,
complicated, but I
oh,
got
right.
it.
We're
just wrote the
there
whole
with you.
episode. We're there with you. Okay.
I was worried I'd get lost in that one. It got complicated for
I
a
had to
second.
follow. I was like, okay, I see you.
This
I
is what
see you.
ABC does to us.
I know.
Plot lines.
So make sure you guys are following us. I mean, you guys can tweet at us using the hashtag ABTV Quantico. We'll always tweet back at you because we want to know what you guys think about Miranda and what she is up to right now. So let's talk about what's happening in the present day.
Okay.
So, were we in the present day or in the past?
We were just talking about the present.
Let's talk about the past.
Okay.
So, sorry, there's a lot going on. So, the past right now, we talked about the assessment, but let's talk about the new face. So we got Lee Davis, who's the wedding planner, who had like 50,000 Post-it notes on her wall, like tabbed, and she used them in the task.
Queen micromanager.
Yeah. Where do you guys think that she's gonna? Do you guys think she's gonna play a major role in this? We saw her in present day. She ended up being not only a new face. She ended up not only being a new face in the past. She ended up being a very new face in the room, which we had never seen her face before.
Well, we might have. We just didn't know to recognize her.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I got to look back. If anybody's watching episodes 1 and 2, and you see Leah's face amongst the crowd, make sure you let us know.
You're binging Quantico, then binging watching us.
Watching us, yes. If you're keeping up with us. One of the things that I just to go back real quick from the past, in the
back
past.
to the present?
In the past right now, is every time that somebody talked to somebody, they were like, why are you interested? That seemed to be a common theme through this episode with each recruit. Why are you interested? I mean, like they don't know. Why do they ask that question? Like you don't know the answer to that question. Well, of course I want to know more about you. And we'll talk a little bit about a character that we've seen before that come up that's probably why somebody's interested in Alex. I thought that Leon was really interesting with his little MacGyver skills, using that compass in the assessment.
Yeah.
That gave us a kind of a clue as to, because we learned a little bit more about his past, where he came from, and what his skill set is. So maybe that will play out in the present day. Diana, we learned a little bit more about as well.
She's took it up a notch this week.
She did.
I mean, she's been kind of on the fence, but this week she was full force and was using all of her tools that are still kind of mysterious to her disposal, and she looked very formidable. Lee Davis, too. You know, I gotta say, if one of these characters starts showing off some fighting skills, I think it's like, oh, God, they are gonna be a tough one to crack for Alex and Ryan.
Yeah.
So the past was all about bugging, like we talked about the title of the episode, Stescalade. So Miranda wants Alex and Ryan to bug a recruit, basically bug the room. And they kind of ticked off a list of recruits that they thought were interested. I thought it was really funny that they brought up a couple of nicknames. The Kingsman,
The priest,
which was Leon.
No, that was Sebastian Chung.
That was who?
Yeah, so the Asian guy.
Oh, yes, because he was a priest.
He barely
He's
talks.
an enigma himself. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, we
with
haven't
this
heard
guy.
him yet.
And then he doesn't say much, but he just the first one to climb up the top tree.
He kind of reminds me of Will, how he was last season. Didn't say much, but knew a lot, and ended up being like a viral part. And we get a little bit of Will in this episode too, which was like, whoa.
Yeah, so they're having to bug the rooms.
Were you looking for the AIC? That's what we're calling the group, and because backwards CIA.
But did they name the acronym? Like, why do they call it AIC, or did they just like it was backwards CIA? I thought it was just like
it's
just
just
backwards
backwards.
CIA.
She said we just don't want to keep calling them Rogue Faction.
Right. Yeah. So, did you guys have like who would you have bugged? Like, seeing all of these recruits, is there a specific person that you would have been like, I would bug that person?
For me, it's a toss-up between Harry and Diana. Harry, because he seems to know a little bit of everything about everybody. He's super chatty, and you just never know with someone like him. I feel like there's just a bit more that we're not seeing. And Diana, because I don't buy that she's always on the phone with whatever work that she was on before. I definitely think she's being manipulated by somebody else or some sort of entity outside of the farm. And to be honest, like her character kind of annoys me because she's just like she always just hits you with the sass, and I'm like, okay, like, but
why you know, gotta be like that?
Yeah, like, okay, he's just trying to talk to you, but I want to see what's behind that tough girl exterior she's putting on. And like, you know, like we've seen so much change from her in this one episode. It makes me just wonder, like, what else is she hiding?
I agree. I think that Lee Davis, like, she's probably just as smart, but that's just because that's her personality to micromanage every single facet of life. Diana, I feel like she's talking to some pretty important people who might be involved in this situation. So I think it would make the most sense to bug her. Harry, I mean, you're going to learn some interesting stuff about him, but I don't know. I'm just not sold on him being evil. I mean, he seems like a guy who could be a bit of a prick maybe at times, but he's not the bad guy. I just not getting that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, he's just British. That doesn't necessarily... You know how British people always end up playing like the bad guy?
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's just British.
And not Daniel Radcliffe in Harry Potter.
Right, or Tom Felton playing Draco Malfoy. Just British, just because you're British doesn't make you bad. I think that Diana definitely would be one of my first choices for sure, because she seems like she's got something going on. I also thought Leon had a really interesting story. Like, he's got a lot going on in the brain. And they kind of plucked him out. Like, Leah, yeah, she's just a little OCD. She's got her own thing going on. Maybe you bug her, but again, you talked about what's his name, the priest. We haven't heard much about him, but that doesn't seem.
We may not at this rate.
Because I always feel like if you go with the obvious people, the people that we see the most, that's how you get into trouble. It's the quiet ones that you don't really like the Simons.
Now that you say that, I definitely would. I don't think it's part of the choices here of who to bug, but we need to know what's going on with Lydia. She is the other person in this episode.
I was just gonna bring up Lydia because I wanted to talk about her relationship with Owen.
Yeah.
So in the past, Lydia takes a phone call from Lucas, who where did Lucas come from? Did we talk about like where Lucas came from in the last
feel
episode?
like-
Is he new?
No,
Was he the one that
because-
you said he was the one that Miranda called?
No, that's a different guy. That guy was I will find him.
Yeah, so she
Paul
calls
Burke.
Paul Burke,
not
but so-
Lucas,
so-
obviously.
So Lucas, either we have met Lucas before, or we're all just kind of like finding out who this Lucas guy is right now. Lucas obviously works somewhere in Washington, D.C. because Lydia gets this transfer that she doesn't know how it got initiated. This is the phone call that she wants. She really wants to go back in the field because she saw something on TV. What really surprised me was that Lydia is fluent in Arabic because she read it off the TV. And but we find out that she was an operative, and a pretty good operative in the Middle East, and dealing with Yemen and al Sheikh Mohammed or somebody in the Middle East. And
I would have
and
had to
finding out-
write that down to remember it, to be honest.
I'm thinking because there's a lot of overlap within the like real life and like these names. I'm like, well, we know that person.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard that name before coming out of the White House. Yeah. So where are you guys on Lydia? Because there was a lot of personal stuff going on with her and Owen.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so much more to her, obviously, than that meets the eye. I can't quite place it yet. What side she's on? I don't know. That last scene with her on the phone, saying, you know, I'm in after she had a bit of a falling out with Owen. I want to know, is she in with the terrorists, or is she in with maybe the last field op that she was in, meaning she's in to get back on it without anyone knowing? I don't know what she's about to do, but I mean, from the beginning, first episode where she kind of tricked Alex into thinking that she was there with them, but she was actually one of their instructors. That already showed me how slick she is, and how she can like, you know, hide things very well. So I'm curious to know what else she's hiding.
Well, I've always said from the beginning of this season that I think Owen's going to end up being the good guy, and if one is going to flip to necessarily the dark side, it would be Lydia.
Oh.
And
She already resents her father for pulling her out of the field.
yeah, so that would be kind of like the setup. Well, now it makes sense if it turns out being that way. I mean, they could throw a change up, and Lydia in present day, how the hostages and the terrorists switch. Maybe
Isn't
she's
Lydia in
Miranda.
that room though?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe she's the one Miranda is talking to, and I'm in to help bring down Owen Hall.
But I don't think she's talking to Lydia because Lydia's in the room.
But remember that sometimes
she
they
doesn't have a-
switch.
She's saying in the past.
In the
That was
present.
her?
She's talking about in the present.
In the present, remember that sometimes the terrorists and hostages switch. And if she's actually, they think that she's a terrorist, but she's actually working for Miranda, and that's how she's staying undercover by not telling Ryan, Alex, and all our other familiar
so
players.
Lydia's switching in and out like throughout this whole thing.
Yes.
Or
and
whoever is switching in and out.
They
throughout
think
this whole
she's
thing.
really a terrorist. The terrorists are using her to switch and be one of the hostages, quote unquote, but she's actually the whole time working for Miranda and is going to help Alex down the line.
Double whammy.
Somebody, the truth in the chat room says, I think Miranda is working with a good guy inside. Remember that we've never saw anyone die. We never saw the first lady die, or this is really interesting. Never saw the first lady die or the NYPD officer. It might be a test conducted by the FBI or CIA.
Whoa.
That's a little too much.
And then somebody said, and then Fantasy Stakes Guru said, no, that would be way too much of a cop out and no stakes if the present is just a test. Yeah.
I would
true.
agree. It would just be no fun if it was all just a test. I mean, you have to have the stakes, you have to have that drama in order to really enjoy a show like this.
Yeah.
I do love the creativity, though. I mean, you are on it.
Yeah. And then that same person, why are you suspicious of all the black people? I don't know. I said that in episode 1. Like, I want to know why all the black people are really suspicious. Owen, Miranda, Lydia.
I know.
It is
Like,
I don't think it
come
has
on,
anything
people.
to do with them being black,
but really,
I mean,
But-
not because they're black, but just those characters are written very
Very
suspicious.
fishy,
Very fishy.
yeah.
Something's not right.
I mean, I'm the least qualified on the panel to speak to this, but I can notice that, like, you know what? I do. There's
Yeah,
a pattern.
There is a
going
pattern
on.
going on.
I'm not going to take that away from you guys.
You know, and it goes back to something I wrote down with Miranda. There seems to be too many coincidences.
Yes.
Like, you know, the flash drive, things
And
that
in the
happen.
FBI, it's never a coincidence,
It's
right?
never a coincidence.
Oh,
Things that happen in
yeah.
the past, things that are happening in present day. There's a lot of coincidences. How did you guys feel about where Owen? Like, this was a moment where we saw Owen kind of have a moment with his daughter. in terms of saying, I really just wanted to spend some more time with you. Did that change your perception of Owen maybe not being a bad guy?
In that moment, he kind of reminds me, it gave me like feels of Liam, because he had like a dark past and he was trying to like do good by teaching at Quantico and step away from that. So like when they had that moment and she was calling him out on, you know, what people say he's really like and what he's done, and then, you know, later when he's by himself, he's like scrolling up looking through I guess some old article about him or something. It made me think, you know, did he just have a mysterious past and now he's trying to be better? I can't figure him out.
I think it's pretty clear that whatever happened to him in the past, that I think we're going to learn about as the season goes on, is influencing his decisions. I think it's going to speak to a lot of, is he the bad guy, or if there's some other third player really involved, whether it's Lydia or not, I don't know. But he felt more of a well-rounded character. I keep saying, I don't see him like the instructor again. I just can't see that happening.
Would be played out
Please don't let it be the instructor, people.
Like, I don't care how you present it. There's just no way you could go to that twice and it still feels fresh, I feel like, for a show like this. So I feel like we're going to learn something about Owen. Maybe he's the one. We're setting up for a big reveal of where he is at in the present. And I don't think he's the guy necessarily that Miranda's texting. I could be wrong, but we're setting up for something big, and I think he's going to be on, you know, our hero's side when he does finally show up.
When it all falls down.
When it all falls down. Speaking of falling down, one of the other big, I wrote down, Alex is a savage.
Yes.
Because she threw this
Preach.
person. This is the first time that we've seen somebody die, actually, and that was when Alex put the cyanide pill in the girl's mouth.
Yeah.
And then she threw her off the building.
That was pretty savage of her.
That was pretty savage.
I mean,
and then
Sending a
she walked
message.
out like that Dangerous Woman showed. Like, I'm surprised they did not play that song in the episode because she
And
threw
she
that
has the
person off the building.
sign, note 2 down.
2 down.
Like, you want to
what?
come after me?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I thought that
You
was
want
pretty
to come
crazy.
after Alex Parrish, the hero in New York, in my city?
And she did
I
that
like
slow
it.
walk. Like, it was slow motion. She walks
Hell
around the
yeah.
corner, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, Alex! This is so dramatic, ABC."
That's that Bollywood
this is-
Priyanka Chopra skills
Right.
showing off.
I love it.
Yeah. So 2 down in terms of the in terms of the terrorists, or what
The
we think of the terrorists, the AIC. And then one of the other last things that we saw this episode was the return of Jeh Johnson, who plays Will Olsen, who Harry really wants more. What do you guys think that Harry wants from Will?
He wants what's really going on with
In the
Alex
past.
Parrish.
Right.
So he was the one who obviously saw Shelby when they were doing the what is it? The following scene.
Yeah, that drill that they had them run.
I forget the name of the drill already, but you know, the fans know what I'm talking about. They were doing that exercise. He recognized Shelby. He did the research and sees, this isn't a coincidence. You are a real friend to this blonde girl. What's going on? She's also FBI. So obviously we take to assume he did his homework. He's finding another one of Alex's old friends to get the scoop on what's Alex doing in the CIA.
And he pulled a Caleb.
Oh yeah, with the
Yeah,
Changing his
going
glasses,
undercover.
changing his name, and
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So we'll definitely kind of see what Harry's got up his sleeve next week. Somebody said, how about VP Haas? And remember, Alex called her out this season finale saying, we're going to be watching you. Maybe Caleb is not really in law school and is undercover with the terrorists. That will be very interesting to see.
I mean,
I
I feel
don't
like a
want
lot
Caleb to
of
be a
hearts will
terrorist.
break on this panel
If Caleb is a terrorist. That's why I said I don't want Caleb to be a
I hope
terrorist.
not.
But he's
I
had a
don't
lot
want
of
him to be okay.
issues.
I do like
He does
that
have a
they're
lot of
pulling,
issues.
characters back from last season. Like, to see Will at
Right.
the end of that episode, I was like, yes. That's why I have hope that Caleb will come back too, but hopefully
There's-
not as a
They're
terrorist.
setting him up for something big because he's
Yeah.
such a fan favorite character. For him not to
Yeah.
show up yet, it's like, okay, they're waiting for something really creative to bring him back into the fold in this picture. Because it makes sense considering who his mother is and what's going on right now.
So we've got a little bit of time before we, maybe a few more weeks before we hit the mid-season finale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you guys see this now going? Like, or what do you want to see?
I mean, I never turned down watching Alex Parrish just destroy bad guys in typical fashion. I don't want to see her shoot anybody. I like watching her show the just hit somebody with her bare hands. I always think that's very satisfying to watch. But no, I really want to see Owen. I'm gonna just call it now. He's a good guy. I want to see him revealed already as the good guy in the present day.
Okay.
I see two different things happening. For one, I want to see this present day terrorist hostage situation handled within the next 2 episodes, not more. I don't know, like if they draw that out so long, I don't know where that can go.
Because it all takes place in like 12 hours, they say, the whole situation as it's going to play out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that plays out. And I'm also curious to know when that point in this undercover op happened where Miranda decided to scratch the op, because they kind of dropped that a little bit.
Yes.
And I want to know, did Alex and Ryan have a falling out? Did their undercover situation become too much for them to handle? Did they break their cover? What happened? Why did that end? And what did that reveal to them?
And Ryan said he is CIA to Harry, and said
why
Harry
did Harry
is not.
drop it?
Yeah, what was that about?
Oh, and by the way, I think Shelby's a little cooped up in that office. I want to see her get into the field and help out Alex. Just like, you know what? My friend needs me.
Yeah, she seems a lot less involved. Like, she seems a little passive. This
Desk
season.
job
It's
girl
tough
now.
to
Right,
have
I'm like,
them.
oh my goodness. I want to see more shirtless Leon. And more Caleb Haas come back.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
Caleb.
I want to see a little. I do want to see where. I want to see more of Owen and Lydia's relationship, because I do think that's a really a strong or not so strong relationship. Like I said, I'm really hoping to see more of Shelby kind of break out of that shell. That'd be great, because like Alex is the hero, fine, whatever. Like she is. I mean, this is her show. But obviously, the show would not be as great without all of the characters that we really learned to love in season 1. And I'm really hoping that between now and the mid-season finale, that we start to slowly wrap up a couple of storylines over the next couple of episodes, and then kind of bring it back to what the mid-season finale is going to be, because they always do that.
Every hero needs backup.
That's right. Next week they're going to be trying to exchange some hostages for a hacker. So we'll see who the hacker is now that Will Olsen's back, and wasn't he a hacker?
Well, okay, was the hacker
He was
the same?
super smart. I remember
was
Will
super
being
smart.
super smart.
Was the hacker the same one that destroyed Miranda's files? Because they did it very quick, and I didn't have that chance to lock them in.
I didn't see. I mean, we saw the preview. All I heard was hacker. I saw, a guy standing there, and it very well could be that same person.
Because Miranda made eye contact with the guy, like, "Oh yeah, it was easy to put a virus on your flash
IT
drive."
guy
Like,
who did
The
that?
IT guy. Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same guy. I feel like that IT guy was a
I
little
might
bit
have
older.
missed it. Okay.
So we'll definitely see if they do a hostage scene, because it seems to be a shootout next week. So next week, same time, same place, and I know Renee will be back next week as well. I know we're going to be missing you, so thank you for joining us this episode.
Well,
Always
maybe
come
she
back.
can come back, because
here.
it's
Just
going to
come
be a
back with us.
3-person panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're free next week, just come back. Yeah. We want to thank you guys for joining our little chat room here. Make sure you, use the hashtag ABTV Quantico for all of your thoughts on tonight's episode. On Twitter, you can follow me at Drexel Heard, and Instagram.
Oh, you guys, I thought it's like my turn. All right, yeah, Gabriel Gonzalez. You can find me on Twitter at Double G on TV.
And it was so great chatting with you guys tonight. I'm your host, Christine Alexis. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Christine Bean with 3 E's. And check me out on Wednesdays with Renee on Designated Survivor.
That's right. A little, what's his name? Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, a little cross promo.
president.
Cross promo.
Yeah.
Little ABC show.
ABC.
We'll see you all next week.
Good night.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.